All right. So I am here with Gustavo of Collabberry and really excited to be having this conversation to learn more about Collabberry and your business and your product probably as well. I have to say I'm biased because for about 10 years I've been waiting and dreaming for somebody to create this. So I am your number one fan and probably have been long before you guys even thought about writing this. So at the same time, 10 years of excitement is a lot to live up to, so no pressure. And yeah, take us through your presentation. First of all, do you want me to listen and you go run through the whole thing and then ask questions at the end, or should we ask questions and discuss step by step? Which works better for you?
To this is still a work in progress, so I will be kind in listening to questions in the meanwhile.
Okay, so just
Uh,
like give me
yeah,
a signal or something because I'm very interrupty normally and I'm trying to learn to be less interrupty. So just tell me when is the right moment to jump in.
yeah. If you find me making too much silence for more than 3 seconds, that means that I'm open
All right.
for
Cool.
for for
It's
for
not a
conversation back.
dramatic pause, it's an invitation to participate. Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful.
So just for a start, I'm gonna share a little bit of context. I'm just uh, jumping, or I was given the responsibility for take this a new vision, a new direction for Collabberry. So this is a work in progress to let's say download to explain further what is these visions that we are achieving for and why do we think that Collabberry is a platform, a protocol, a movement that is going to change the world, the future of work. Okay, we are um, projecting our business to be an operating system for human collaboration. So yes, this is gonna be shared here today. These slides are thought for being presented to investors, so we're going to be navigating them little by little. The problem is like the human factor. People have conflict, people have arguments, people take their things personal when interrelating with each other, and this is causing a lot of chaos and separation and failing in the startups. I don't need to bring any data to know how difficult it is to collaborate to other people, but there are actually some data around that. This is a slide that is a completely this is we're in transition. This is that part that is still needs to be fixed. So the things that we are now entering a new era where work is being modular, people are working online, they're having a lot of fluid conversations. Now I'm working with you, now I'm working with them. People are working in remote in a really asynchronous ways. And for the other sides, we've been promised with a lot of new collaboration tools, Discord, DAOs, smart contracts, voting, and so on. But that's failing. This is making collaboration even worse. Anyone that has been in the world of DAOs and with a little bit of experience of working in corporations know how this promise of decentralized organizations has been a big fail. We are not having tools that are designing uh, with focus on the human factor, on how to operationalize tools and accounting around people. This is more of the same. We just have
Yeah.
slides a little bit introducing the same thing. Yes.
I think if you permit me, because I agree, and I think the bit of nuance that I would add here is that the way DAOs have been formulated, decentralized autonomous organizations, first of all, this idea that we can remove humans from organization and things can run is specific. And I think many, if not most, DAOs, the way they've been formulated, are more tending towards big groups of people, hundreds or thousands of people collaborating or coming together around a protocol or something. Would that be a fair statement? Or because actually you know the ecosystem much better than me.
What is the question again?
So to me, my perception is that things like quadratic voting and the way that DAOs have been, most DAOs have been functioning, it's trying to coordinate the work or the opinion of hundreds to thousands of human actors.
Yeah, that's a way to put it. In my experience,
And
there
in
is
that
no
case,
even.
and if
Mhm.
that's generally even true, then the statement that I actually wanted to make is most human collaboration happens in small groups of three
Yeah.
to five or seven things. So the use case for which DAOs have been designed is a very, very narrow sliver of human collaboration. Very rarely do we come together with hundreds or thousands of people and try and get shit done. Most
Mhm.
of my life, even in the biggest of corporations, teams are a few, a dozen of people at most. People know teams need to be smaller. So most human collaboration is done in small groups, and there it's all about human dynamics. I don't know if it adds to your argument or not, but that's how I've been in a mild defense of DAOs. They've been trying to, the problem they've been trying to solve exists, but it's a very small percentage of human collaboration.
Yeah, it's more than that. Like in DAOs, you can find DAOs of 3 people, you can find DAOs of 10 people, you can find DAOs of 500 or 1,000 people. DAOs is a thing that everyone have a different definition of a DAO. Everyone have a different vision of what their DAO should be, but everyone thinks that they are aligned because okay, this is an organization that is actually aligning us and coordinating us. But when they enter, they are entering with that dream, but after just few weeks or maximum 1 2 months of working there, they will be like, whoa, people are not seeing this as I was. So there is a shock and shock moment when you realize, fuck, I'm not aligned as I thought I was, and the direct, the usual response to that is, okay, all these people are wrong, and this is my way. If you are a loud person, you will bring in and bring more on yourself and start to scream more and to raise your voice to other people to listen. And if you are a shy person that you don't want to avoid conflict, you are like, okay, I'm gonna shut my mouth. I'm gonna take a step back. If I'm receiving some benefits here, I will just continue to do what they are expecting me to do, and I get my payment. But you lost a lot of disengagement because it's like, mm.
So, and I'm sorry to be, I hope I'm not disrupting your flow too much, but I want to ask you one more foundational question because, as you said, everybody's got a different definition of what a DAO is. Do you think it's still a useful enough name, or should we be trying to come up with some new name for blockchain enabled, blockchain agreement centric organizations, or you don't care, you haven't thought about it?
I don't care. I haven't thought about it. I'm more shit in a mode in like I'm shutting up. I'm just making. This is the only time that you are going to find a reference to a DAO here in this presentation. Uh, the way that I want to put Collabberry is like, hey, we're not a DAO, but we are more a DAO than a DAO.
All right,
This
let's
is the
continue. I'm looking forward to this more and more.
okay. So that's the thing. So what is our solution? We are building an operating system for humans, for human collaboration that is aiming to bring fair rewards, smooth governance, and relational trust to teams, organizations, communities. Okay, from one side we have this protocol to give fair compensation through agreement setting and peer review on how people are performing according to their agreements. This is the beta that we have now in production, beta.collabberry.xyz. And other than that, we are realizing, okay, the beta is putting these agreements, and then people will be monitoring and evaluating that performance. But how do we help people to modify their agreements, right? So we are going to introduce a artificial intelligence to mediate uh, and and to create a common context among all the intersubjective uh, inputs from the different contributors. Meaning, we're going to have an AI agent in the middle that is going to represent the voice of the collective. Is to centralize into this artificial intelligence all the voices, all the feedbacks, all the opinions, statements, proposals, concerns, and deliberation into that. So the AI will be programmed to create a common narrative out of it, while at the same time identifying what are the concerns, what are those fork in the common reality where people are not agreeing, and at the same time it will be enable a process, enable a ritual among people to solve their shit out. Okay, like we Collabberry, how it's built, people are prompt to give each other feedback each month, just as a way in which we um, account and distribute the rewards that we give. So the AI will be rich in this context, and it will be trained to support the team on their values, on their agreements, and of course on their peer reflection. Other than that, the AI will be actually, when we fill them with this kind of context, they will be even actually to identify where a conflict might emerge before it starts. So that's a little bit the vision that we have to combine Web3 and AI. Web3 for accounting, meaning just distributing how much piece of the cake each person is eating from this common pastel. From the common pastel is not from this common cake. And from the other side, it's also a tool for promoting accountability for people to take care about their responsibilities, to signal, hey, you are not taking care of this or that, and you can have this person to AI relationship that doesn't have any emotional charge as it could have to have with a boss, with a colleague, where there might be conversations that you don't want to have with them because you know that might be uncomfortable. With AI, it's going to be different. So people are going to feel more free and more safe, basically to share their impressions with an AI rather than directly with people. And this is a solution that is for every organization, either if it's a startup in a bootstrap phase, if people are building a DAO or co-creating a movement. Collabberry, it's a tool for managing the messy middle. We are tracing who did what, how it mattered, and more importantly, how individuals and organizations grow from there.
I don't know if it fits into the thing, but I don't like the word manage. I really like the gardening metaphor much more, because you can how much can you really manage relationships, right? But I know that in this kind of context, yeah, I think I really love it. Uh, I think, yeah, I think just all of the support, and I wonder if team effectiveness might not even be a bigger umbrella than just compensation. I can imagine this being used in the
Mm-hmm.
context of teams where people are just on salary. But by creating good, effective feedback loops and such, you enable the teams to work together more effectively. Does it make sense what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, effectiveness is an outcome of using
Yeah.
our
I
products.
really love the this idea of effectiveness because it's very different from efficiency. Because it's very easy to have efficient meetings where you just grind through agenda items and then, but don't have any time for human things, right? And then your team will grind to a halt no matter how efficient your meetings are because you aren't being effective.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I love all of this. Let's do it. What's the next slide?
The next slide, this is an optional, and this is also a, a way that we are presenting Collabberry as a tool for bootstrapping Web3 startup, where people can account for the values brought by co-founders. Uh, this gives us a way to speculate on the value of production in a really Marxist way, like distributing to, like accounting for labor put on a common project and giving it back to people. And if you are saying, hey, I'm working 100, my value in the market is 200K a year, and I'm working 100% here in Collabberry. I'm a founder. I'm not receiving money yet from this. So we give people a tool to account for what is the value put not only by single solo, but by a team of co-founders. And this can be like a presentation when people are going towards a VC and say, hey, this is the way that we are validating and finding our product market fit. After that, this is a way to speculate on what will be the, the market price of your startup after the first seed round, and allow startups to also find a reliable price discovery during their investment rounds. This is still to be validated. This is just the idea that I'm actually aggregating here for bootstrapping our own startup. This is like kind of the recipe that I will do forward. But yeah, like the feedback that I had so far is that I should remove this slide from this deck.
But why, I mean, why Web3? Web3 is 0.01% of the startups, and I really think this space of people needing to account for value and collaborate more effectively is a billion times
It's everywhere. Yeah.
Web3.
Yeah. 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 Web3 is because where we are now, it's our current niche. It's Web3 is the first milestone in our go-to market. That's the only way. Web3 or organizations that are Web3 friendly, for example. But yeah, that's not focus. I'm going to remove that slide from this deck. So this is the market size. The reference that I'm using is this concept about global knowledge workers. There are actually 1 billion in the world, but I'm just taking a fifth of of that as my total addressable market, giving me, assuming like a little bit more than a 2% of that total, the service addressable market, meaning those workers that are aligned with these values of decentralization and values of share ownership and share reward and distributed co-ownership, let's say, and giving us also a service obtainable market in the next following 2 years of 30,000 people. Okay, and assuming
include things.
huh?
What is classified as knowledge workers? Does it include influences, for example?
Yeah, knowledge workers is people is the class of workers after the ChatGPT area. Is people that they know, they work with their knowledge, they work with their network, with what they have online. So yes, social media influencers are part of that. Developers are also part of that. Marketing,
Because to me,
coach.
everybody starting a side hustle. Does that include everybody starting a side hustle?
What do you mean by side hustle?
I don't know. I print funny t-shirts and I sell them online. Like side hustle is the side business, right? So micro, nano, small entrepreneurship, which has become in some ways much easier online, or at least easier than it was 50 years ago. Maybe 200 years ago, or it was even easier because everybody was a micro entrepreneur. But
No, like solopreneurs are not considering that. Actually, there is a total of 1 billion uh, global knowledge workers, and I'm just putting 200k of them, assuming that the rest 800 are solopreneurs or doing these kind of things that are not
I
is
think
not our target market.
everybody needs to be building teams. I think you can go much bigger. 1 billion, man. 1 billion is the good number. But I understand for the first round going to investors, fair enough. But I can see, and you also know from our previous conversations, I think it's much, much bigger. Did I ever send you my 1 billion DAOs thing? I sent it to you, right?
Yeah, I think I read it. Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean these are values that are the only reference that I took from this link that you find here is it's actually 967 or something millions of global knowledge workers, and then after a few conversations with ChatGPT, I decided, okay, 200 is our total addressable market, and from there, let's 2% of assuming people aligned with what Collabberry is offering. And then from that, a little bit less than 1% for us to achieve in the next 2 years. So this is 30K of people, meaning that we will have less organizations than that. Maybe mm, not 30K, but probably, I don't know, five 5,000 organizations, assuming
I,
six people
I think
per.
we should add a zero and at the end or at the beginning to each of those numbers, but let's see how it goes. All right.
I mean, this is engineered in a way to arrive to a number here in the order of the few millions of sales per year, because this number here is what is appealing for investors. If I start to put a lot of things and I put, yeah, I'm gonna earn 500 millions per year in the year number 3, it's like, hey, who the fuck are you? So we need humble, but at the same time, ambitious numbers. This is how it works. You know already how this works. I won't present this to you. This is the tool, how it is today. People are doing upfront agreements. And then we have this algorithm in the middle that is just splitting how people are receiving their equity tokens or team points, plus the monetary compensation when it's agreed. And on the other side, and this I need to establish this more here, we are going to have this HRAA agent. We are going to have an A agent covering the human resource function. Having a lot of data from people, having a lot of data from reputation. It's kind of a social reputation because we are going to be measuring how people are measuring each other's value. And this agent is going to be that interface for people for governance, for making proposals on their agreements, for onboarding new contributors,
You know,
for identifying conflicts, and even coaching on interrelational communication.
I think it should be an ecosystem of agents, not
Yes.
doing everything, but build a framework where people they have Collabberry agents, and then you can have a marketplace for agents, right? It will be easier for implementation because you won't have like all of this shit going through one thing, and it really open things up. I mean, I love, by the way, the conversations that we have recorded. There is our Religio DAO conversation which we started.
Mm-hmm.
We have Gaia AI.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an example, right? You can have, and I think creating the place where humans and AI agents can collaborate at a fair, level playing field, that
Mm-hmm.
creates a real, I mean, it covers all of these things. Also, it will be easier, I think, for us to relate to having multiple agents. There is the onboarding agents, and it just goes through, and it like, when it's like the onboarding agent and it pings you and asks you, oh, it's been 2 weeks. How have you been doing? Da, da, da. I know I'm having that conversation to it versus the agreements, the governance thing, the wise owl. It says like, you guys, this is goes against the agreement or something like this. And it's different thing. Yeah. I think there it opens up the possibility for becoming much, much more.
So you're talking about different uh, agents for covering different functions.
Yeah, because when I interact with the agents, right, I need to have a mental model, right? I put a mental model in my mind of what the hell this agent is. And ideally, it should have a little persona, it'll have an icon in the chat or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And there can be and I need to anthropomorphize them to some degree in order to be able to relate and to have a mental model of what this thing is in my reality. It's how our brains work,
Yeah.
right? So if I
Yeah.
have the kind, let's be nice to each other kind of agent, I know that's where I can go to cry. The onboarding, that's, the concierge that's walking me in, right? So you don't want to have too many, but having some functions, right? Like across different personalities, and they can have different personalities. And maybe people can choose too, right? Like our team, we have a sharp sense of humor. We want our contract agent to have the Monty Python sense of humor and kick our asses when we're out of line. Because that's our
Yeah.
culture and that's our life, right? So we go in, this guy, and somebody else, it's like we don't jive with that kind of humor. We want the full nonviolent communication, Marshall Rosenberg, peace and love kind of an agent. This is
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
No, that makes sense. I need to grasp this more in detail. But yeah, that's a thing. And having different avatars with different personalities makes sense. That I know. I don't want to flood people with you have an agent for this, an agent for that, an agent for that. Like
Yeah,
for the user experience, it will be as simple as possible
you don't want to have
because
50, but just one that's got the stick, the carrot, the this and that. Maybe it'll be better to maybe have different ones. And then also having different personalities. This is something that it's funny, right? Like things progress, but then some things go backwards. You're the fucking navigation. Why can't I download a voice for my navigation in Google Maps? Right? I remember in Japan, in the early days when it was still Japanese and Japanese always things, you could have different voices in your navigation. You could have like voices of celebrities. There was like a famous comedian whose voice you could have in the navigation, right? And it would shoot the shit with you.
yeah,
Now finally with ChatGPT, I can have voices. Have you talked to Monday, by the way?
no, not yet.
You have to talk to the Monday voice. It's so good. It's like so phlegmatic. Like, really? This is what you want to know? Okay, I'll look it up for you, but that's so boring.
Okay, let's move, Victor. Let's move. So, okay, this is where we start to present some structure here that makes sense. Why? Because we need to govern these agreements. Agreements cannot be static. If we want fluid and dynamic organizations, they need to evolve as the functions of work and people evolve as well,
Is this like is this
right?
sociocracy or is it how is it different from sociocracy if at all?
I mean, we're talking here, we're talking about two things. From one side, we have formal consensus that this is similar to sociocracy in the sense that it's just a social structure for
Ah, so it's consent.
implementing.
It's not
im-
consent.
I'm talking about the name of this methodology. If you Google formal consensus, this is a governance methodology.
Okay.
It's not sociocracy.
Yeah.
Sociocracy is more for teams, and you have the team here and someone representing the team among other structures or other teams, and you have the
It's a structure, but the core of sociocracy is consent-based decision making. So searching for objections, not consensus. That's also something I'd really like to have pluggable, but go on.
yeah, and these operate under the same principles. When a proposal is made, if there are no concerns, then the proposal just go. Okay, if there are not objections, the concerns can be seen as an objections under this formal. So formal consensus basically have three periods of negotiation for a single cycle of governance. The first period is just people talking about what they think, what the other things, anyone making their own proposals, and so on. The second part is a part where people are identifying concerns and conflicts or objections and naming them. Okay, so we have these concerns. Of course, an objection is not the concern in under this context is actually an objection with an argument. Okay, so there is a motivation why people are vetoing that. Okay, and in the second phase, we don't discuss them. We just identify them, we just name it, and we add them to a list. Okay. And in the third phase, that's a phase of deliberation where not only people involved in the proposals and concerns are sharing their things, also the broader community are bringing their inputs. Okay, this is for maximizing the possibilities, like when people are saying, no, this is A, and the other one, no, 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 this is B, like having further context of the community can empower the people's having this motion to say, hey, actually, this might be C. Okay, so that will help teams to move forward with their decisions. Still, there is the possibility that people won't agree and that the concern won't be resolved. And this is when the AI will scale the issue out to Web3 mechanisms for governance that is also based on consent. It's what is called lazy consensus. Here is a little bit a representation of what we have here in the right part of the screen here. And this, just for making the long story short, it emulates poker a poker match. Like, hey, Victor, you and me I'm saying A, you're saying not to A, but then you say, hey, sorry, I really want you to block that. So you are going to stake from the tokens that you've been earning. You are going to put something under risk because you are very certain about your motion in this case, and you want to block that. So in that, then we start like kind of this betting mechanism in which I will say, okay, now I'm hearing your concerns. I actually maybe not that certain about me moving forward with my proposal, so I won't stake. Because if I stake, meaning that I'm certain I want to move forward with the proposal, then we both have something to lose. Because once that we equals the amount of staking, because there should be a roof, otherwise we have just plutocracy, the one with more tokens just aside. We don't want that. Once we reach a roof, then the solution is escalated to the community, especially to people that have the context around. And they will vote on that. They will be asked to vote. Hey, do you think Gustavo is right or do you think Victor is right? So assuming that Gustavo is right, we will take part of the stake that Victor put on that to reward people that engaged into that voting. And we can even to incentivize more an attention and focused and charged with arguments kind of voting, we can even incentivize people that vote for the decision that won. So we have now an incentive mechanism that is promoting the right decision to be taken.
Uh, I vaguely understand. Mostly you lost me. I'm very curious how this works in my usual use case of 5 to 7 people. Also, I think this agreement making mechanism should be pluggable and I should be able to have different agents support me. But I think we should move on to next slide because I think
Yes.
we've gone too deep.
In
And
any case, you know Colony. You have heard about Colony for a few years already.
used it. I mean, I talked to them in 2016 for the first time, but yes.
Well, that's inspired from the Colony lazy consensus. This is just the business model, classic freemium subscription model where minimum functionalities will be offered for free. And then things like the smart agreements, these AI integrations, and other features that may come from that will be charged at the price of, it can be 60 months per organization, it can be 15 bucks for people using that. This is a little bit more deeper. This is actually something that I'm going to bring out of these slides, but here is my vision on how to go to market, my vision on actually bringing value to the team points that are being minted today for our team. Maybe we can talk that in another day. This is the competition. It's still to be updated. I need to add a few other competitors here. And traction. This is the traction that we've been taking. I need to bring this. Actually, I'm gonna bring that now to bold.
So, is there any connection? Because everybody's obsessed. I'm an operations guy, and that's why I'm so unexcited about the governance stuff because 99.5% of my time is spent on actual operations. Is there any tracing from the agreement to what people are supposed to do? Does that feed into their evaluation? How does the agreement
This
connect with the person connect with the evaluation?
so right now it is fully relying on people's fits. Like right now, it depends on people having their goals, people having their own operational structures, and at the end of the day, they just come back to the Collabberry tool, and based on that context that they have built on with their organization, they will give people a point.
So,
In the roadmap, we are going to include metrics like OKRs,
what's the connection
object.
between the agreement and everything else?
I mean, the agreement is what is the statement of what people is expected to do.
So,
Everything else is the evaluation of what they
is the
should be
agreement
doing.
linked to who is doing it? Right? Are the
Yes.
agreements
Yeah,
reviewed?
yeah. The agreements are personal. The agreements are between a person and an organization. We will have as many agreements
Ah,
as
okay.
people in the team.
I missed that part. So, one person or is it multiple team? Like, can it be a team in an organization?
It can be a team in an organization, yes.
Interesting. Yeah, I need very interested to learn more about that. But cool, congratulations. 5 clients, 10 more. Ah, yeah, and then I was going to ask with the go-to market, what about converting this, helping people convert this stuff and then linking to issuing shares and to building, creating a real company, getting bank account, all of that fun stuff.
Uh, hmm. Yeah, that's operational thing. Like why I should take care about a company opening a bank account.
Well, I
They
mean,
do their thing.
so the reason is that anything around finance, it's a good way to make money, and if you can offer fiscal hosting, that's a nice service. But more importantly, right? I mean, any real organization it's great place to start off as a Web3 DAO, but you're going to need a real company if you're going to raise money. And I think even
Yeah.
most Web3 projects sooner or later end up raising normal money through normal means, right? They they need a real legal company.
Hmm.
So supporting that flow, right? And what happens after I've created a company, that's what 99 point, I mean, that's what 99.99% of startups will do.
Yeah.
Uh,
So why should I offer that if people already know how to do that?
Well, nobody knows how to do it with dynamic equity, right? So I create this and I work with Collabberry for three months, 5 months. I get to the point where I can raise money, and now I've created
Hmm.
a company. And what? I give up on Collabberry and go back to the shitty, like what?
No, that's not the idea. The idea is that you just get a lawyer. I mean, we could provide legal service, of course, as well. This is something that we don't have at the moment. Uh, um, but yeah, this is a matter of just finding our partnerships to submit Collabberry into the classic company law,
But then,
or we automatize private law agreements, structures like or constructs like trust or peer-to-peer contracts to put this in motion. And for a bank account,
I
yes, a
mean,
trust can have a bank
as soon
account.
as
I
I
mean,
get a legal entity, I can get a bank account. So maybe that was not a thing. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I can raise money, I want to raise money, and most money is still not in Web3, and most investors are not going to convert their dollars into. Anyways, I think legally it would be problematic, right? For people.
what?
Somebody has 100,000, they want to put it into my company.
Hmm.
There is lots of all. How does all of the tax accounting go if they just convert it to Tether and put it into a random wallet?
I mean, we can do that. I mean, each organization can do that. The matter is about an organization having a team having a proxy organization. It's about legal engineering. It's just about having a lawyer that tells you what to do and prove.
Well, I mean, for we know TDF paid $50,000 to do that for getting a DAO that has a legal presence. Uh,
Hmm.
and that's a lot more than $500 that it cost me to set up an LTD. So what's the thing in between? I mean, unless it's just for stuff that only forever stays in Web3 space, but I think that's limited.
I mean, the thing in between is just having a lawyer that makes you regular updates about your equity. You just build an LLC. You forget about this DAO thing, and you just have in your statutes a clause that will tells you the equity will be shared accordingly to this algorithm.
You need to.
And that's in the middle. Then for scaling up and to forget about that, like this is the solution for that. The economic models. When we will mint a new utility token out of these team points that we are doing together with another function of venture capitalist investment. Okay, now we will have a fixed supply, and depending on what organization is doing, they will offer utility to that. We are going to offer utility in using our platforms. They will have clients will have the way to pay with their with their money with their fiat. Yes, we will have a legal thing taking care about that, but the vision here, and this is something that I don't talk that much here, is like the value won't be in the equity. The value will be in the functions, in the derivative of your equity. And
Yeah,
this is something that I explained to you.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how the funding market for that looks. Uh,
I mean, there is still no market for this. This is why I need to bring this out. I need to detach myself from the equity world, and putting more focus into the utilities and benefits of this. Then the legal will be
Yeah,
solved.
it will be an interesting go-to-market because I'm looking for the solution that lets me actually do sweat equity, which translates into real equity in a legal company somewhere in some form or another, so that I can take dynamic equity and I can take regular investment. But yeah, it's going to be a journey. I mean, there is what is it, one or two jurisdictions that allow companies controlled by a DAO. And I wonder if putting employee equity through that, team equity through that, whilst investors go in through financial equity, couldn't be a in-between solution. But I think figuring out that sandwich, that's what will unlock every startup using this. Because we need a tool. Every bloody startup needs this, pretty much.
Yeah, there is this concept of virtual shares in the European Union that we could use. Consultancy of that is costing us 20K that we don't have.
There is,
But there are solutions. Like
there
are ways to move
did
this
I
forward.
send you Odin? So
Odin?
Odin, they are a way, because this problem already exists, right? Nobody wants to take money from 20 or 30 investors of small amounts and stick them on their cap table. So it drives everybody nuts. And Odin has developed a solution for that. And they use a legal form in the UK called the Bear Trust. Because actually, other than just bureaucracy costs money and takes time, the main thing that the state cares about is KYC. They just want to be able to put their finger onto everybody that owns a company. So the admin of KYC is a key part of the equation. So if you could partner with an on-chain KYC provider, they must exist by now.
Yeah, there are quite a few of them.
And then look at, because the UK is generally more creative in the ability of legal forms than many other jurisdictions. So, but they're legal in the Odin is legal in. I mean, we used it to take investment into our Portuguese corporation. Yeah. Cool. Nice. So, what's for lunch?
Some chickpeas, beetroot salad, and yuca. You know yuca?
I know yucca as a carpet. I didn't know it was something you could eat.
It's like a root. So this is in its natural state. It's kind of a potato, a tuberculo. And this is how it looks after you boil it
Okay. Nice.
and cook it. Yeah, it's kind of a potato, but more yummy. A little bit more sweet as well. So some yuca.
Nice.
You think I should add like a legal slide there?
I mean, look, I think this is more about where you are now. I would love to work with you on a uh, big picture idea, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
going to the mainstream market and taking over the way startups are built everywhere, period. Right? So using the dynamic equity as the gateway drug, but then, moving in. Basically, what is it? Square is kind of done this. I think Stripe lets you open a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have any of this equity or team stuff, right? Also, I think need to explore because there is a bit of Gustavo's put all of his ideas and dreams into one company thing there,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which I mean, we all tend to do. So there is the really powerful team stuff and team coach and team effectiveness and team feedback, which could be a whole startup like the future, let's call it Agentic HR. The platform where AI and humans collaborate on a equal level. It's a
Mm-hmm.
whole universe there. Then you have the dynamic sweat equity universe, which I think opening it up, you have to have on the roadmap regular companies because they're not going to go away quickly enough and not within our lifetime properly. And also, that's where, if somebody's getting 100,000 investment, it's easy to get a few grand out of them for legal fees, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think the ability to make revenues will be much more interesting. And if you can, take over and become blockchain based compliance, blah, 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 then it's need to explore what happens after those initial steps. But I think there's interesting things there. The decision making stuff, I mean, I think the going from agreement to review to evaluation, that's a whole loop of operations and agreement to evaluation, right? So that's like three loops there. Team effectiveness, or let's call it agentic HR. I just came up with it. If you get rich using it, then I want some credit. There is the dynamic equity or distributing value accounting, value distribution. There is the agreement making and agreement review loop. So yeah, I need to think about it, how to do it. And then there is all of these other collaboration platforms as well, right? Like Haifa or as you mentioned, what's its name? Colony and da da da. It would be interesting to see where they're succeeding, where they're failing. Uh, so yeah, I love it. There's lots of ideas and need to just kind of figure out how to find a path that will step by step, go to get lots of users. And also, I think find of what are adjacent things and how the software can fit into and collaborate with others. How does Collabberry fit into the bigger idea of a regenerative economy society OS?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm throwing those questions out, not as that's like what we should talk about and come up with answers today, but I think those are
Mm-hmm.
the areas for exploration which will be needed to touch at the right time, whenever the right time is.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Mm. Nice.
Nice.
When are you going to California?
So shall we finish this recording? Are we good for today? I think
Mm.
my brain
I
is
feel complete, yeah.
close to exploding.